It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Valpo assistant softball coach, Coach Laney Jones. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing wonderful. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college softball?
So, whenever I was in high school and even past then into college and after college, I always did pitching and hitting lessons. And it was just something that I loved doing. I loved working with the younger kids and watching them grow and develop and seeing the smiles on their faces when they do something great. And it was from that kind of point on where I was like, this is definitely what I want to do for the rest of my life. So, I ended up majoring in sports management and I minored in coaching just because I wanted to have that ability and that degree to kind of further what I wanted to do. And then once I became a GA, it kind of sealed the deal of like, yeah, this is definitely something that I want to do.
How is that like, obviously, going to Ashland and Marshall to play softball?
Yeah, so I went to Ashland University because I fell in love with the school and the coach that was there, Coach Sheila Gulas. She was a fantastic human being. Unfortunately, she ended up retiring whenever we signed our NLIs. So it was kind of like we were thrown into a very different situation at the time. But I played a lot there. I got a lot of great experience, pitching wise, hitting wise. I kind of did it all there, and it was so much fun. But I knew that I had another goal in mind. It was to go somewhere that was really, really going to push me and make me better, not just as a softball player and as a pitcher, but as a future coach. So whenever I entered the transfer portal and I ended up going to Marshall, that was by far the best decision I've ever made. Marshall was it will always have a special place in my heart, not just because of the school and like the players, but Coach Megan Smith and Corey Lyon and Maddie Hollop. They're amazing human beings. And when you play at Marshall and like you watch the movie and stuff, you feel the love of every single person that's there, that you're playing for something bigger. And that was really, really what I wanted. And I'm so glad that I got that experience.
Of course, as a college athlete, what was that process like going through that transfer portal, then go to Marshall?
It was stressful. It was very stressful. And I dealt with a lot of adversity whenever I entered the transfer portal. Actually, I had a lot of people telling me that like you can't you're not going to play D1. You're not going to start D1. Like you're making a bad decision. But I knew in my heart that that's what I wanted and I wanted something bigger for myself. And I ended up starting day one, game one, and it was the best experience ever. And I'm the type of person that likes to prove people wrong whenever they tell me I can't do something. So it was also kind of like that little vendetta part in me at the same time.
Of course, what was that feeling like getting to put on the Ashland jersey and the Marshall jersey throughout your college playing experience?
I mean, it was fantastic. Every single time that you put on a jersey, it doesn't matter which school it was for me, you're representing that program and you're representing yourself and your team and going out there and performing your best every single game because you're wearing that uniform it's an amazing experience and it's something that you'll never forget whenever you put that uniform on.
What was that feeling like as a pitcher stepping onto the softball field and throwing out those first pitches through every game?
Complete and utter excitement and kind of surreal. And when I was playing at Marshall, there was always fans that were there, tons and tons and tons of people. And I mean, you get stressful and you get nervous in the beginning, but then you completely get used to it. And it's just the environment that you're thrown into where every single person that's there is just cheering for you and wants you to do the best that you can. It's such a humbling but amazing experience that I will never forget.
Of course, leaving college, what was that like getting into coaching and getting your first coaching job?
It was great. I mean, I'm always going to miss putting on that uniform, but luckily I'm still very much involved, and that's what I wanted. Even though I wasn't putting on that uniform anymore, I still wanted to be on the field with those girls and get as much experience that I can. So then once I took off that uniform and I went to go be a GA, I'm still there just on the other side of the chalk line. So it wasn't as much of a change as I thought that it was going to be because I was still there. I think that if I wasn't a coach, then it kind of would have hit me a little bit like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to put that uniform on again. But when I'm on the other side of the chalk lines, I'm still there. Like I'm still putting on that uniform in my head every single day to make them better.
How is that like, obviously going to the Notre Dame college to become the pitching coach?
Yeah, it was a whole different experience. I mean, I learned a lot about myself and how I needed to set my workouts up and my structures up for those pitchers to make sure that they were ready for games in the spring. And I think that one of the things that is extremely important to me as a coach is making sure that my athletes are put in every single possible situation in practice before they go do that in a game. So when I was at Marshall, our coach, our pitching coach, Coach Hollub, who's Maddie Hollub, of course, she did a water on the ball day every single year. So she would take buckets of water, or it would be raining out, and we would go outside and we throw outside, and she'd dump water on our hands because she's like, you have to know how to pitch with a wet ball. And obviously, I've played for 12, 15 years, so I knew how to pitch with water on the ball, but she was making sure that she was putting me in every position possible. So when it got to the game, I can already say, oh, I've already done this. I did this last week. Like, it's no big deal. So that was something that I had to learn how to do to make sure that I'm doing that for my athletes as well.
How's that transition like going to Notre Dame college from coming straight out of college and being a pitcher yourself?
I had to again learn how to structure everything for them instead of having it structured for me. So I very much took a lot of the things that I did learn at Marshall and then also a lot of things that I knew about myself to best prepare my pitchers and best prepare my catchers so that way they knew exactly what to expect come game time.
While at Notre Dame College, what were some of your accomplishments as a coach?
I loved working with the infield, the pitchers, and the hitters. So I was kind of working with everybody at the same time, which was awesome because I'm involved in all of the aspects of the game. I lowered the entire pitching staff's ERA by a whole entire point, a whole entire run. It was in 1 year, and it's like that is such an accomplishment because there's a big difference between a 3 ERA and a 4 ERA. There's a big difference. It's one number, but there's a big difference. And the fact that I helped develop those pitchers to have the ability to get that down a whole thing, a whole number in 1 year, like that was a massive accomplishment.
What was that feeling like getting to come to Valp to become the assistant coach?
It was fantastic. And it kind of, so the way that it happened is a little weird. And I would like to share this story because we were kind of just thrown into it. So, Coach Megan, she was kind of thrown into this role. She applied, she got the job. She did not get here until September. So in that time, their fall games were starting. They had already been practicing with the GA, and she kind of got thrown into this situation. Well, she is also from Akron, Ohio, but we did not know each other. So she got this job, and my best friend is one of the assistant basketball coaches here for the women's program. So she texted me and she said, "Hey, there's an assistant coach job opportunity. You should like apply and just see what happens." So I was like, "Okay, like shoot my shot. Why not?" So I applied for it and I got a phone call, like it's a cell phone call from Megan. And we had a 2.5 long hour conversation on the phone as she's driving home to Akron from Valpo. This was on like a Sunday. And I was like, well, I'd love to meet you. Like, would you like to do an interview? She said, well, I'm actually coming home right now to Akron, Ohio, which is where I was. And she goes, can we meet at a Panera on Tuesday? And I was like, absolutely, 100%. We sat at Panera for 3 hours. and just talked. And it was like we've known each other for years. Like we just talked about our life, about our playing experiences, about our coaching experiences, adversities that we've been through. And we walked out of the Panera and she looked at me and she said, I need you there in a week. We're going to do great things together. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I then had a week to pack up my whole entire life in Akron and move in to my best friend's house in Valpo until I'm able to find a place to live. But it was just so weird how it works. It's such a small world, but at the same time, like we didn't even know each other. So it was kind of like one of those things where we got along instantly.
What was that feeling like, obviously getting to coach with obviously the person that lived in your hometown area?
Um, I think it would have been a lot different had we known each other already, because it would have been a lot more familiar. But because of the fact that we didn't know each other, we kind of had to learn each other and figure out our coaching styles together and how we were going to mesh together, what our specific philosophies on hitting and fielding and everything were, because we didn't know each other. We were very much thrown into the situation together. And I got here in the middle of October, so I haven't even been here for a full 5-6 months. But we're like, everything that we're doing right now is developing this team, and you can just see, not only from an on the field standpoint but a culture standpoint, how much better they're getting.
Of course, as a coach, what was that feeling like getting to come to the campus, seeing the campus, and seeing obviously the softball field that you're going to be coaching on?
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. I've never been to Valpo other than, I think I was here for maybe one basketball game. So I've never played here. I've never seen the field. I I mean, I came here and I was like, wow, this place is actually really, really nice. And I had never been here before. So I'm like, I'm so happy to be here. I'm so excited. These girls are going to be fantastic. We need to get a couple years under our belt, but there's definitely big things coming for Valpo softball, and it's awesome.
As an assistant coach, what are some of the things that you've accomplished so far in your short time?
It's been an extremely short amount of time, but I think the biggest thing that I feel like I've accomplished is getting the girls to buy in to what we're saying. You can say it until you're blue in the face, but if your athletes aren't going to buy into what you're saying, it's not going to mesh. It's not going to work. They're not going to work together and cohesively on the field or off the field. So getting them to buy into everything that we're saying and really think about and take accountability for the things that they're doing, that is why this program is going to make leaps and bounds in the next couple years, because they're already buying into what we're saying in an extremely short amount of time.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've started to help build?
One of the biggest things with the culture is they weren't playing together because they didn't know how to. No one really had taken the time to teach them, okay, yes, you guys are playing together, but you're really not playing together. Here's how we're going to do that. And I think that one of the biggest things so far and the biggest accomplishments in less than 5 months is getting them to learn how to actually play together as a team and work together, communicate, buy into each other, buy into us, and then everything will go from there.
Who are some of the teams that you'll be facing in your conference?
So just to name a couple, because there are actually 12 teams in our conference. Actually, we have a pretty big conference, which is a little crazy. We have UNI, Missouri State, Drake, Evansville, Murray State, Illinois State. I mean, there's a ton of schools, and it's cool for me too, because I'm learning the conference too. I've never heard of the Missouri Valley Conference, to be completely honest, until I got here. So I don't know kind of what to expect going into conference play this year. Obviously, we're going to scout and we're going to figure it out, but personally, not playing those teams, it's going to be very challenging to figure everything out, but we're going to do it together, and everything is going to be just fine.
Of course, what is that going to feel like, obviously, to have those teams like Drake and Dury and even Missouri State come to your home field and play versus obviously going to theirs?
Yeah, I mean, home field advantage is such a big thing, and from everything that I've heard, we actually get a lot of fans at our games, and we've already talked about working with the local youth programs in the area, getting them to games, getting them on the field with the girls, doing auctions for sportswear, softball wear, doing some giveaways, making it a very, very fun experience, not only for our girls, because the more people that are there, the more attention that we're getting, the harder that they're going to want to play and the harder that they're going to want to win. But getting those smiles and getting those youth programs involved and getting our alumni back here is going to be huge.
Of course, what is that going to feel like, obviously, as assistant coach, going to those teams away like Drake and Murray and playing them on their home field?
It's going to be a challenge because when the preseason poll this year came out, we were at the bottom, and Coach P and I were very much thrown into the situation. None of these girls are our recruits, and we have 14 people right now that can actually play. So we're working with extremely low numbers, but we're working with people that have bought in. So when we go there and we go play the tougher teams like UNI and Drake and Murray State, they need to be able to sit down and say, it's all right. We got this. We're the underdogs. We're going to go in there and we're going to prove ourselves that there's no way, no reason that we should be on the bottom.
Of course, as you just talked about, being that they weren't your recruits and stuff, how has that been like, obviously, looking at them and seeing, obviously, what you can improve on in them?
The biggest thing is them playing together. They have the talent. We have the talent. The only hard part is that we just don't have the numbers. So when you're working with 14 people that can play, when a normal typical team is 22 to 23, it's hard to keep them going and keep them positive just because we are working with little numbers. But Coach P and I were making huge strides for the recruiting classes coming up, and it's an extremely exciting time, and they have definitely bought into that.
What is a typical game day going to look like for you?
So our home games are going to be pretty much the same except for the travel, but typical home like day games, we're going to warm up, get the girls lots of good food because we're big food people here. So we got to make sure that they're eating, and they're going to go in with confidence. And again, it's going to be tough because we were voted last at the preseason poll, and the last doesn't mean anything. Last just means that you can go out there and prove yourself that you shouldn't be where they put us. Cause I mean, we got to vote too, but there's no way that we put ourselves last because we know what we have. So as long as they go out there with confidence and they go out there like we have something to prove, everything will be fine.
What's that going to feel like, obviously, when you open up the season and you start to coach and you start to see those teams playing and obviously improving to go from last to hopefully first?
Yeah, so it's going to be an adjustment. It's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. It might not even happen this year. But as long as we continue to bring in people that are buying into what we want and the vision of what we want, that's going to be the biggest thing.
What has the recruitment process looked like for those prospective student athletes coming to Valpo?
So whenever we got here, we did not have any 23 recruits. The previous coach did not recruit anybody for the 23 class before she had left. So not only were we thrown into a situation where we were new, we already are playing games, we only have 14 people, we had to go out and recruit a class of 23s and 24s. So our entire fall was out doing camps, out going to tournaments, out calling coaches. And we now have 923s right now, signed, sealed, and delivered. So we went from 0 to 9 in the fall, and we got some awesome athletes and awesome people that are really, really going to help our program. And it is so exciting.
What do you look at in those prospective student athletes when you're going out to these camps and on the road?
My biggest thing is if you work hard, when you put in the work and you work hard, and I can actively see that you're trying, that is my biggest thing. Yes, we need you to be athletes. Yes, at Valpo, we need you to have good academic standings, but I need you to be able to go out there and work hard. And if you're doing a drill, or if something just isn't working right and you're trying to figure it out, that's what I want to see, because that's when you have heart and passion and it's not just about doing everything perfectly every time.
Of course, when these prospective student athletes come to Valpo for the official visit, what does that look like?
So a official visit, we actually do it as a weekend. So we do a whole visit weekend with all of our recruits. So we bring them here on a weekend in the fall. We will pay for a hotel for them and their families. We will take them out to dinners. We'll bring them to practices. We'll do some different activities with the current girls on the team, but we make it a whole fun weekend where everyone actually gets to meet each other before they come in. They get to do another tour of campus. They get to meet all the girls, hang out with the girls. And it's just an awesome experience. So that way they can come together cohesively and meet each other instead of just texting each other and being like, oh, you want to be roommates? But it's like they actually get to meet each other face to face before they get here. And I think that that's something that is really, really big.
As a coach, what is it like obviously seeing them put on that Valpo softball jersey?
It was awesome. Actually, this past weekend was the first time that I got to see these girls play out there in a Valpo jersey. It's usually just been against ourselves, and that's how I mean, that's usually how it is in the beginning of the spring. You got to scrimmage yourselves, but seeing them go out there, put on their uniform, represent Valpo, it was awesome. It was awesome.
As a coach, what is it like obviously seeing your softball players hit those milestones and achievements?
It's huge because they realize that all of the hard work that they've been doing in the fall and all of the conditioning things that they've been doing in the winter, it's all paying off and it's all going to pay off. So when they hit that milestone or when they hit that stride or something fantastic happens, they can look back and be like, it was worth it. And that's really, really what you need.
Of course, as a coach, what are some of the things that you teach your pitchers that you learned as a pitcher?
To go with adversity. I think that one of the things that is big for me, and it's sometimes it's not as big to other coaches, which is totally fine, but it's huge for me, is routines if something isn't going great. So how can we, if you give up a home run or if you give up a grand slam or if you walk a run in or something really, really bad happens, how do you come back from that? What can you do? What can we talk about? What can you do with your team that is going to help you come back from that? So if you give up a home run or if you walk a run in, what can we do to make sure that that doesn't happen again? So me bringing in routines, and it's actually called the release and refocus routine. It was huge for me. If something negative happens, if someone makes an error in the field, I'm going to brush it off. Everything's going to be okay. And then the next pitch, I got this.
Of course, what is that like obviously seeing them, obviously, as you said, that routine where you brush it off and let's say the pitcher might have threw a strike, or had an out. What is that like obviously seeing them brush it off and uh, going for the next one?
It means that they're learning. It means that they're again buying into what we're saying. So if you trust what we're saying and you buy into what we're saying, and I can actively see you working through the situation in your head and overcoming it, that's huge. That is so huge. And the fact that we work on that in practice, and I actually saw them do it this weekend. CK, who is our junior pitcher, she got in a little bit of a tough situation, and I watched her walk the mound. She did her refocus routine. She came back. The next girl got out. It's fantastic whenever they really slow down and they buy into what we're saying, and then it turns out for the best.
What are some of your future plans for the program moving forward?
To be out to be competitive. I mean, again, we're voted last in the preseason poll. That we don't want that. That's not us. We know that we're better than that. But I want the girls to go out there and compete, because if you can go out there and you can show the top two teams that we're gonna put up a fight every single time. That's what I want. We might not come out on top every single game. Nobody's gonna win every single game, and that's okay. But did you fight? Did you push yourself? Are we gonna come back better from it? Absolutely.
What advice would you give those high school athletes that are looking to play college softball?
I'm sorry, can you repeat
Mhm.
that?
What advice would you give those high school athletes looking to play college softball?
Reach out to the schools that you want to go to. Work hard and send me videos. I can't, like, if I don't know that you're out there, then I don't know that you're out there. But if you're working hard and you're sending me videos of you doing wall drills, throwing a ball up against the wall and fielding it in your basement, like, that shows drive and that shows dedication.
What advice would you give those freshmen that are entering their first year of college softball?
To really take in the moment, really take in the moment. A lot of times we're overwhelmed as freshmen and we're either going out there trying to prove something way more than what we should be doing, or we're overwhelmed and we're anxious and we can't focus for more than 5 seconds on the field because we're worried about messing up. Take in the moment, slow down, understand that you are there for a reason. We chose you to come here for a reason. We want you here, but you have to want to be in the moment because 4 years is going to fly by.
What advice would you give those college softball players that are looking to enter professional, whether it's Athletes Unlimited, the MPF, or even overseas?
Go for it 100%. So my old roommate at Marshall, Allie Harrell, she is an incredible woman, an incredible human being. I am so glad that I was her roommate for 2 years. She's one of my best friends. She's amazing, but she's in Athletes Unlimited. And the joy on my face every single time I watch her take that field out there is just amazing because it's kind of like a fangirl thing where I'm like, oh my gosh, I know her, but wait a minute, that's actually my friend. So it's so much fun. But anything that you want to do, strive for it. Go do it. And especially if someone's telling you that you can't.
What advice would you give those people that are looking to represent a national team like Canada or Team USA?
Go for it. I mean, it's the exact same thing. I want those big dreams and you pushing yourself on and off the field to go live your dreams and achieve all of your goals. Absolutely go for it every day. Work hard for it every day because you just never know what might happen.
What advice would you give those future people that are looking to get into college coaching and become assistant coaches?
I think that you don't try too hard and always take the opportunities where you get them. So if there's an opportunity that's available, go take it. Always take every single situation that you're in and learn from it. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, every single thing that you do in life you can learn from and you can make connections from. And the more people that you know and the more situations you put yourself in, negative or positive, you will learn from it.
What advice would you give those college softball players that are looking to enter into coaching right after college?
I think that it's great. I think, and this is just a personal bias, but I think that we need younger people coming up and going through the works and get like experience. I mean, you can't go be a head coach if you don't have experience elsewhere. So if you're going to play and then you're going to go be a college coach, absolutely go for it. The more people that we have that have played the game are now coaching the game, I think that that's only going to help us grow.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the softball program at?
So I'm on Twitter. Twitter is my biggest social media platform. It's LANEYJ40. That's my Twitter handle. It's also my Instagram. I am open to anybody following me just because I want to learn as well as I want other people to learn. And I think that it's a great platform for people to make connections and get to know each other. And then Valpo Softball on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Thank you again, Laney Jones, for your interview and best of luck in your future with the Valpo softball program.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate you having me.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Laney Jones, for your interview and best of luck in your future.
Thank you so much. It was great talking with you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.